The nurse's voice trembled when she said my name, each syllable cracking like something fragile under strain. She wouldn't meet my eyes, and that alone told me everything. I didn't need her to speak. Some part of me, buried deep and cold, already knew what waited behind that door. When I stepped into the room, the light hit me first, harsh, sterile, unforgiving. My daughter lay on the white hospital bed, so small against the expanse of sheets. Two fluorescent lamps glared down on her like twin suns, bleaching the color from her skin. Her tiny hands were wrapped around her favorite toy, a pink stuffed rabbit with a stitched smile and button eyes. My mother-in-law had given it to her just 3 days ago for her birthday. She never let it out of her sight after that. She slept with it tucked under her arm, ate breakfast with it sitting beside her bowl, even whispered to it like it could answer. Now she just lay there, eyes half open, murmuring that her head hurt, her voice thin as a breath of smoke. The doctor came in without a sound. He studied the scans, his brow furrowed, mouth drawn tight. It looked like he was trying to find a way to make the images say something different, something easier. When he finally looked at me, his face was stripped bare of everything but duty. "Call the police," he said quietly. Immediately. The words didn't land all at once. They drifted through me, heavy and muffled, like sound underwater. I looked down at the rabbit again. Its button eyes stared back at me, empty and cruel. A small tear in its belly caught the light, and from inside the split fabric, something metallic glimmered faintly. I didn't move, didn't cry, just stared at the toy she loved more than anything, and wondered what kind of monster would hide poison inside a child's comfort. At first, I tried to believe it was an accident, a toxic dye, a factory mistake, some chemical oversight. But the doctor's next words shattered that fragile hope. "It's mercury," he said, sealed inside deliberately. The world tilted. My thoughts went white. Then, slowly, a face rose in my mind. My mother-in-law's hands, trembling but precise, always clutching that faint imitation of warmth. The way she watched my daughter, with a kind of possessive sadness. The way her eyes lingered on me like I was an intruder in her bloodline. "She's so much like her father," she'd said that day, but she hadn't looked at him when she said it. She'd looked straight at me. When my husband arrived at the hospital, he looked like a man destroyed, eyes red, voice shaking, hands trembling as he tried to comfort me. But through all his tears, he never asked what the doctor had said. Not once. And when I mentioned the toy, his gaze flickered away, too quickly, too practiced. That was the moment I realized the poison hadn't been meant for my daughter. It had been meant for me. For 2 days I said nothing. I watched, listened, waited. He slept in a chair by our daughter's bed, head bowed, the perfect picture of grief. But his phone told the truth. Deleted messages. Late-night calls. A name I recognized, his mother's. I recovered what he thought he had erased. The messages were clinical, almost cold, chemical names, dosages, a recipe for what she called regret. The last line read, "Just make sure it ends with her." I didn't confront him. Not yet. I smiled, thanked him for staying, let him believe I was breaking. Meanwhile, I started tracing the origin of the toy. The barcode was fake. The model didn't exist. It wasn't bought, it was made. I sent a piece of its fabric to a private lab under a false name. When the report came back, it confirmed everything. Mercury woven into the fibers, measured, intentional, just enough to cause slow neurological failure. Enough to look like illness. Enough to make it seem natural. I felt nothing. No rage, no tears. Just purpose. When she visited the hospital, she brought flowers, roses, too bright, their scent cloying. My husband walked beside her, pretending to steady her, pretending to care. I asked them both to sit. Then I handed her an envelope. Inside were the lab results and a small plastic bag containing a tuft of the toy stuffing. Neither of them spoke at first. She read it, and her face drained of color. White, then gray, then still. My husband started to speak, but stopped halfway through. She tried to shape words, excuses, denials, but I cut her off with a whisper. It wasn't supposed to be her. The silence that followed was like a collapse. I watched their faces, the shock, the guilt, the dawning realization. It passed between them like smoke. He had known. He had helped. And now they both knew I knew. That night I went home alone. I set the rabbit on the kitchen table and waited. They came together, broken, begging, stammering apologies that weren't really apologies. I let them talk, let them believe I might forgive. Then I pushed a folder across the table, copies of the report, bank transfers, voice recordings from her phone. I told them I hadn't sent it to the police yet. I didn't need to say another word. The way she sank into the chair, the way he hid his face, it was enough. They turned on each other almost instantly, voices rising, accusations tearing through the air. By the time I stood up, they were unraveling. My daughter woke 2 weeks later. She asked for her rabbit, her voice soft and sleepy. I told her it got sick, just like she did, and that it wouldn't be coming back. She nodded, trusting, and drifted off again. I sat beside her, watching her chest rise and fall. Somewhere across town, 2 people were destroying each other. I didn't need to see it, didn't need to hear it. They'd finished what they started. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and let the silence fill the room. For the first time in a long time, everything felt still.
Clean.
Empty. Exactly as it should be.